guys, welcome back to another video. Now, like I mentioned in a previous video, this game could be our make or break for the season. Very nervous for this one.
I am fucking shitting myself.
Now, we're coming up against the Fulham team, which also haven't won a game in 4 matches. Their key player being Mitrovic, so the key is to obviously stop him from scoring and getting service. They've got a lot to prove. They've obviously been a bit of a yo-yo club in recent years, so they want to prove they're going to stay in the Premier League. And having Scott Parker looking like a Gareth Southgate 2.0, we've only got to hope he manages like him as well. Now, I don't want to put too much emphasis on this game, but you could argue it's a make or break for our season. We win, we get our season back on track. For now, we get out of the bottom 3 until Monday, and the panic starts to disappear. If we lose, however, the panic starts to increase. Time losing 5 games is a very worrying statistic. So the earlier we get our first win, the better it is, especially against the relegation candidate as it stands. So now I'm just going to quickly go over a few pros and cons going into the game. I'll start with cons, get them out of the way. So we're going to start the transfer window during the domestic part. We knew we needed a left-footed centre-back after O'Connell's injury. That wasn't addressed, or it was, but it never got fulfilled. Wilder came out yesterday saying no transfers going to be made. It's been an amazing window. We can't argue about that. The fact we were told that we were looking for a left-footed centre-back and even possibly a midfield playmaker, and neither of them joined the club, was quite hard to take. I think we've got enough for this season, so it would have obviously been a lot better, would have given us a lot stronger chance this year, but I think come January maybe we can address those issues. The only problem with this though is we now have no one to replace O'Connell, so Robinson's going to have to step in for the whole season. In my opinion, he's looked slightly shaky since he's had to fully replace O'Connell. I thought against Arsenal he made a mistake for the first goal and possibly the second goal, though maybe that was more Stevens' fault, and for the Leeds game there was a mistake where it led to Basham clearing off the line, so I might be too critical, but if you look at O'Connell, and would you argue would he have made that mistake? And I'd say probably not. So to replace this, I think the ideal thing in my eyes would have Stevens as centre-back. As we look back at the 2018-19 season, there came a part where we didn't have O'Connell and we had to rely on Stevens playing centre-back, and he couldn't have done any better than he did. He didn't do any wrong, and he kept a lot of clean sheets during that time as well, and I think we've got a quality left-back duo of Osborne and Lowe to replace him, so surely one of those should be given a go if he's going to be going at centre-back, which I think is the right move. Do I think we'll do this against Fulham tomorrow? I don't think we will. It's a massive risk. You could argue that making no risks is a bigger risk, but I think it's maybe for a game like this, it's better to stick what we know. Maybe when playing a bit more confidence, a bit more freedom. Now, we've also got Egan out with coronavirus concerns. This is a very big problem because he's probably our strongest defender, and he'd be playing against the aggressive big man himself, Mitrovic. I think it would have been perfect to have him mark Mitrovic, and I think he would have done a lot better job than possibly Mpadu would do. No disrespect to Mpadu. I think he's a great player. I think he will play well if he does play, but when we look at his stature, he's not as physical as Egan, and I think that could possibly get the better of him against Mitrovic. We can hope he might be smart and draw some fouls to himself and aggravate Mitrovic and get him to elbow him in the face and get sent off, but it's very ambitious thinking that way. So I think it would have been better to have Egan, obviously, but we've got to make do what we've got, and I think we will have enough. We also have John Fleck out, so it would mean that Osborne probably wouldn't be playing left wing back and probably have to go into midfield instead. So if my plan was to go ahead, Lowe would be the one playing as a left wing back. Now that's it. Cons are done. Moving on to the pros. So pros, we now have a fast striker in Brewster. We know how hard we were trying to get him this whole transfer window. It's finally done. Couldn't play against Arsenal, maybe it's for the best, but might have been a bit too early throwing him in. He's had a whole international break to train with the team, which is obviously great news. I think personally he's going to be just what we need. Maybe we're expecting too much for him to get a goal on Sunday, but you'd think he'd make an impact at the very least. I think obviously it gives the defenders something else to worry about. We've very rarely had pace in attack. When we have, it's been Mousse, who's inconsistently played the team down to his injuries. So I think having another pacey striker is a massive pro for this team, and I think, like I said, the more pace we have up front, the better. I think having someone like him there is going to cause loads of problems to the Fulham defence. It mixes up a bit. Another pro is we've obviously going to be playing against a Fulham team which themselves aren't in great form. I think on paper we're a better team, and I think you could argue for us this season we've been very unlucky in games. We look at the Villa game, it could have gone either way with the red card. The Arsenal game, you could argue Luiz should have been sent off as well. The Leeds game could have easily gone either way, and the Wolves game we deserved to lose, but it was just a poor start. So I think at least with us, you could argue on another day we could have won a lot of those games, or at least got a point out of them. So I think we know we're due a result at some point, but Fulham have played badly recently, and you could argue they're going to bounce back at some point, but at the same time they're low on confidence just like us, and I think we've just got to prove why we're here in the Premier League in the first place and why we're here to stay, and this is a big game obviously to prove that. So moving on to lineups, I think for us we're obviously going to have Ramsdale in goal, Basham and Mpadu and Robinson probably in the back 3, Baldock and Stevens are the wing backs. I like to see Norwood play, but that's a lot of creativity in the midfield this year, and you can't argue it's no surprise that since he hasn't played this season we've lacked that, unlike last season. season. Yes, he wasn't the most visionary of a player, but he did a lot of long passes which helped break the play up, and especially passing to people like Baldock, who had a burst of pace to counter-attack the other teams. It's a massive help for our season. However, if we don't play, it kind of writes itself once again. It's going to be Lundstrom, obviously, is the right-sided midfielder, Berger's a sitting midfielder, and then Osborne is the left-sided midfielder. It would obviously be Fleck, but he's injured at the moment, so Osborne's the likely choice to replace him. Up front is a little tricky. It's obviously going to be Brewster if he's fit. You know, we signed him for one reason only, to score goals, which we haven't done. So it's just a question of who he's going to be playing with. There's quite a few injuries up front. McGoldrick's injured. I believe Burke's injured, and I'm not sure if McBurney is. Possibly be Sharp playing. If McBurney's fit, then it will be McBurney playing, which I could see being a great duo. In the future, I could see it being a massive partnership for this team. Now, going to actual predictions of the result, it's going to be a massive game for both teams. It's going to be a very tough game as well. It's going to be a very end-to-end game as well, in my opinion. I don't think either team wants to draw this, especially with the fact that the other two teams around the relegation zone, West Brom and Burnley, are playing each other on Monday. So we know if either of those two get a result, both of us are even more screwed than we already are. If either one of us gets a win, it gets us out of the bottom three, so it's a massive start for either one of our seasons. So it's going to be very end-to-end. However, I think we do have that extra bit of quality, and like I said, I think we've deserved to win this season. So like I've said in Fulton's video on Friday, I think I can see us winning this one 2-0, and I'm sticking by that. So up the Blades. Right guys, that's the end of my video. Thank you very much for watching.